Hi everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. Today, we'll be taking a look at from the Combiner Wars Wave 1. These are the Aerialbots, Firefly, um, Skydive, and Alpha Bravo. I almost called this guy Air Raid. I do that a lot. Alpha Bravo is the new member of the team, introduced in the IDW comics as a replacement for Slingshot. Um, why Slingshot was terminated, we don't know. A lot of fans tend to suspect that it has to do with the fact Hasbro did not want to have four jets on the shells who all fairly look similar. And I can understand it, but whatever. Now, a lot of people have reviewed these figures already, so this is just going to be a quick overview. As you can see, the vehicle modes are very individual, but the core frame of the figure is exactly the same. And the transformations are identical. In fact, from the waist down, you're going to transform the hips the same way. The only difference is with Alpha Bravo, you get to the feet. Also, they come with a weapon and the combiner piece, which can be a foot or a hand. Personally, I think Alpha Bravo handles it the best, where there's a peg on the bottom of the vehicle that can fit into. It makes for a stand as well as a great artillery platform, and then you just have his gun off to the side. Um, Skydive is I think would be my next favorite just by having that peg, and I really wish they had that peg right in the middle, but because putting them under the wings like you have here on Firefly kind of makes it look a little less symmetrical, but that's just me. I'm a little crazy like that. Now, it's interesting that this is Firefly, not Fireflight, which was the original Aerialbot's name. Obviously, the copyright reasons, and, you know, maybe this is a Cobra Saboteur who likes to use explosives. Yeah, it's an inside show. So, that's it for the vehicle modes. Each one, like I said, the framework is the same, but there's these little individual um, bits. Firefly has landing gear. Alpha Bravo's a helicopter. Uh, you know, uh, Skydive, I almost called them air raid again, has molded in weapons on the wings and what have you. So let's take a look at robot mode. Okay, and here they are in robot mode. Like I said, as you can see, most of the central frame here is very similar. Um, and basically the same. I mean, from the waist down, they all transform the same. The real difference is Alpha Bravo, who you have that nose section of the helicopter that needs to be split, flipped up, and rotated into his feet, and then you rotate the hips around. But that's basically the same. The rotor section, the rear rotor section, I should say, transforms the same way as on Firefly and Skydive. They obviously have different heads. Alpha Bravo's is made to look like the original Slingshot figure. Trying to keep that in there. And other than that, the combiner hands feet module can become a handheld weapon. The pegs on the wings are still accessible if you want to stick it back there, but it might make them a little bit top heavy. Just a point of interest on my figure, it was a little difficult. Well, on my figures, I should say, it is difficult. I shouldn't say difficult, but the hips are a little loose. And to be honest with you, looking at the Voyagers and the other figures, I think it would have worked a lot better if it was just a universal ratchet joint instead of a ball joint. Because you have ball joints in the shoulders, ball joints in the hips, and in combined mode, those are going to be, well, in R mode at least, those are going to be weight-bearing joints. And I think a universal ratchet would have worked a little bit better. There have been some complaints that basically the figures are just they're either jets with robots underneath or robots with jets on their back. And I think once you get them in hand, the transformation is unique enough that it doesn't stand out like that. I mean, these are great standalone toys. Personally, my favorite is Skydive, with maybe Alpha Bravo coming in second. But since these are combiners, let's take a look at the limbs. We're going to do arm mode next. And here are the figures in arm mode. Now, either any figure can be the left arm or the right arm. As you can see, I have Firefly and Alpha Bravo as right arms, Skydive as a left arm. Let me just say right off the bat, I prefer how Skydive and Alpha Bravo form the arms for one reason and one reason only. Their robot arms do peg back into place. Um, with Skydive, it can actually fold back and peg into the wings. Fireflies are just hanging there, and as someone who has a thing for symmetry, it is very aggravating to try and get them lined up properly. I thought maybe there were some hidden pegs or something, but no. Also, I want to mention, as an arm, Alpha Bravo's missiles do get in the way, but with the limbs transformed like this, you do have access to a double joint. And I want to point that out. The instructions are a little vague on how you're supposed to transform these for arm mode. Basically, they show it as something like this, where you don't have an elbow joint, it just bends in like this. But if you look at most preview photos, sometimes they'll show it like this where you're using the hip joint, but a lot of times, and most of the time, you see it like this, where basically you have the top of the vehicle mode facing upward. And I think that works best, and I think that's the right transformation for the arm mode, because number one, you're getting a double elbow joint out of the hips and using the ratchets in the robot mode knees, which I think are very important because, at least on mine, as I said, the hips are rather loose, and without using that secondary joint, would not be able to hold many poses, let alone hold the combiner weapons. Now, speaking of the individual robot mode weapons, you can peg them into the wings. There are pegs here in the hands. You can top and bottom, so you can do whatever kind of combinations you want. We'll get into that in another video when we look at Superior. Now, let me show you leg mode. Okay, and here's leg mode. And basically, if you've been noticing a pattern, it's easier to go from robot mode to arm mode than and then leg vehicle mode to leg mode, because basically of the way the joints work and what you're using. All of these make great legs. I do want to point out something with Alpha Bravo that's not mentioned in the instructions, but its rear tail section can actually rotate side to side or 360 degrees. I don't know if that joint was put in so it could fit into the packaging a certain way, but if you want to rotate it down for leg mode or arm mode, it's up to you. Firefly makes a much better leg just because its robot mode arms can be secured to the side. Also, if you are fans of the G1 figures, you'll notice that this is a very different configuration than the original toys. Whereas the original toys had the limbs facing outward like this. Now, you can position them like this, but you do lose the use of that great ratchet joint right there. So, I mean, it's up to you. Frankly, I'll be putting them like this. I think it looks a little cooler, and it harkens back to when you can combine the Aerialbots with Metroplex. So, this is the end of the review. Highly recommend the Combiner Wars Deluxe figures. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They're great standalone figures. They're chunky. They're solid. They are really a throwback to those old G1 figures, and I just love it. And and the fact that it's deluxes with a Voyager, I think it's perfect, and they have real hands that and feet. I think that's just wonderful. I've been gushing enough. It's your old pal Chuck for the Aerial Bots. We'll see you next time.